I'm Rex Rogash, and let's queer up trans rights. This is going to be a graphic story, so please be warned. Brooklyn man charged in fatal stabbing of trans girlfriend. HRC says such violence is widespread. Brooklyn police arrested 38-year-old Jonathan Fernandez in a fatal stabbing of his 41-year-old transgender girlfriend, Eryka Caldwell, inside her Bushwick apartment. According to reports, Caldwell texted 911. When officers arrived around 8:50 a.m., they heard her screaming, quote, "Help me, he's stabbing me," end quote. Before forcing entry through a window, officers found Caldwell stabbed multiple times with her throat slit. Fernandez was reportedly sitting nearby. Fernandez has been charged with second-degree murder and criminal possession of a weapon. He is being held without bail on Rikers Island. His attorney, however, claims Caldwell attacked him first and says he acted in self-defense. Caldwell recently celebrated her 41st birthday. Though unfortunate, such cases are not rare in this country. The Human Rights Campaign says more than half of transgender and non-binary people experience intimate partner violence in their lifetimes. Well, this is a sad story in general. Nobody should lose their life regardless. And unfortunately, nobody was there. So, hopefully the truth comes out. In most cases like this, they don't. It's a he said, she said situation, and she's no longer here to defend herself in court. So hopefully the evidence precludes and he gets put away. For murder in general, I don't care if it was self-defense, to be honest with you.
And this is the second time a trans woman has been murdered and reported on the national news. We just had one where that took place in Seattle, where she was murdered in an off-campus apartment in Seattle at the University of Washington dorms, and they are still trying to find the perp. And the problem is that sadly this is all too common. This is reported regularly, at least in the queer press. Mainstream press sometimes just simply don't cover it, or, people just disregard it. Or, in some dark corners of the internet, people excuse this violence because as some governments and legislators like to get together and basically just said trans people are evil. For example, Elon Musk just tweeted a debunked theory on his god-awful platform that, the San Diego Islamic Center shooter is trans. They want to pin every single act of mass shooting on trans people. Joe Rogan repeated it. They're putting targets on trans people's backs for no goddamn reason than just basically of hate and ignorance.
And I think that's, you said something that I think, unfortunately, and I hope it's not true, that this doesn't get swept under the rug because the person was trans. Again, we don't know if, she was stabbed because they were boyfriend and girlfriend. So domestic violence is rampant, unfortunately, in this country in general, especially against women. If she had been a cisgender woman, this would have been blown up everywhere. Everybody would have known about it, and they would have been really behind her. Because
that's also part of make this story so tragic and so memorable. Is people know I love to give the Human Rights Campaign a hard time, but they actually do a very good job of trying to track every trans murder, and they lay it all out so you can see it in one page for the year to know what's going on. And there's the disturbing amount of domestic violence murders against trans women. And I will always remind people that when we're talking about trans murders, we're almost exclusively talking about Black trans women. It is a horrific thing. I'm not saying they're the only trans people murdered, but it's an unusually large percentage of the trans community that gets murdered is Black women. And just, you want to believe people innocent until proven guilty, but when the person who was murdered was texting 911, he's trying to kill me, and then when they show up, she's not alive. I'm sorry, I'm going to go with her on this one, kid.
Correct. Correct.
I feel I want to do, but this is just such awfulness.
And certainly we hope a very thorough investigation is done, which you would expect, but to have one's throat cut, as self-defense
that's beyond self-defense.
And luckily, the only silver lining that I found is it took place in New York City. which is where the perp is unlikely to get off easily.
Right.
You can find some panic excuse, or find some
Stand your ground.
stand your ground, or find a jury that are blatantly transphobic, so that he can excuse his crimes.
Right.
I hear you, but there's no way to right the taking of a life. I want viewers to remember that as an important lesson as we leave on this episode, because this was just such a tragic story. And we thank you for listening and taking part in this with us. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBT stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.